Did anyone say more dragons?
We did!
Yes, we found the budget.
Oh my goodness, I am so excited to talk about this episode. I feel like it brought the drama that I really expected from this show. Or the dragons, truly.
Suddenly the title is making sense. Oh my gosh, there's so many dragons now. I've lost count in my head. Like how many dragons are on each side.
I know.
It's so exciting.
I keep forgetting. Well, I remember the dragons on one side, but Rhaenyra's side has truly gained quite a few dragons this episode.
Like, is there even a war anymore? Is there even a battle to be had at this point?
I feel like there should not be.
We've yet to see the new dragons next to Vhagar, I suppose, to really get that impact of whether they can measure up or not.
But we saw them opposing Vhagar, and that was pretty satisfying.
Yeah, but I think maybe you're getting ahead of yourself just a little bit.
just a touch. You're right. The first opening scene was so good as well. I really love they just opened with the dragons.
Ooh, and I love how different they look.
Mm-hmm.
Like they fit in the same universe and everything, so it's coherent, but at the same time you can really tell that they're not quite the same. Maybe they're like slightly different species within the dragons or different ancestry a little bit maybe. I don't know how that works, but Seasmoke really looks a bit more like Drogon, while Syrax looks very different.
It looks like he has extra sort of knuckles within his wings. I really feel like he's almost looking a little bit like underwater. Do you know what I mean? He has that, what's that called when you have...
Like membranes?
No, like, I was going to say mermaids. They're not entirely real, are they? But you know when you have webbed fingers? Is that correct?
I think it could be. It's fitting for Seasmoke as well, because he is a Driftmark dragon, which is all about the sea and the ocean and the water. He's even called Seasmoke.
Such a pretty boy. How is Adam looking so skinny compared to Rhaenyra?
Well, Rhaenyra is wearing a cloak, so I suppose maybe that could be part of the reason why. He's kind of just wearing his simpleton, lowborn...
Isn't that a bit of an insult?
Is it? Is that...
I don't think simpleton is something you say if you like someone. And we do like Adam, do we not?
We love Adam. Such a charismatic character. He's gone high on my list of faves already.
I really like him.
So, I am so sorry. I didn't mean to call you a mean word, Adam, because I don't have a mean word to say about you. I was purely dissing your clothes and sense of fashion.
And that's fair. Although his belt is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's not even a bad-looking outfit, I suppose. Any skedaddles, we were talking about Rhaenyra's cloak.
Yes, which is looking quite regal next to his.
But she's not wearing a cloak. Whoops. Okay, well then I suppose Adam might have been looking skinny because he's
skinny,
low-born, and they've been starving in King's Landing.
There we are. Okay, yeah. Well, back to the dragons.
Roar!
I really love the little... almost reptilian, like the really weird noises they make. It's so cute.
Yeah, it makes me wonder how they make the sounds for the show.
With the risk of being just a touch pedantic, did you notice that Rhaenyra said that he had a dragon of the House Targaryen? Wasn't Seasmoke always technically a Velaryon dragon?
Was Laenor Seasmoke's first rider?
I thought so.
I will check on the Google. Which means Seasmoke was never a Targaryen dragon. Rhaenyra, naughty girl.
My thoughts exactly. I guess you can recognize a little bit of yourself in Adam here.
I mean, he's living the dream, isn't he? As a dragon choose him, and now he's like wanting to get some dragon rider training. I mean, it's the dream. It's the dream. I understand why he's begging on his knees. Cannot fault him at all.
I love that he says his father is, no one of consequence? Corlys would be fuming.
It is interesting, isn't it? Because there doesn't seem to be any Targaryen blood in him, but I suppose the Valorians and the Targaryens have
Mingled.
knitted their houses together. Yeah, mingled. And again, if he does smell like Rhaenyra as his brother, he's got the mannerisms too a little bit. I could see why Seasmoke would go for that snack, you know?
He hasn't made him a snack yet.
The forbidden snack.
The forbidden snack. I quite like how they are muddying the waters a little bit with how, or what it really takes to make a dragon rider. Because nobody truly seems to know when it all comes down to it. The whole you need to be a pure-blood Targaryen seems to be a little bit maybe not entirely true.
Yeah, you seem to definitely not need to be a lord of any kind. Would be nice to have an interview with the actual dragons and ask what the hell does it take, really?
Maybe next season.
What are the requirements?
Would you like to apply?
Oh, the dream. I'll play anything. I'll be a rock on the beach. I'll be the sand curling around Seasmoke's wing.
Maybe next season. I really like this scene as the opening shot though. Very impactful, seeing the dragons in daylight and just, strong scene. Ironically, not as strong in sight.
But a bastard is here all the same.
Can't deny that.
And not everybody is happy about it, as we can see in the Black Council meeting.
As we can see, Jace is one of the people clearly unhappy with the unfolding of the situation.
Big mad.
Well, at this point, he doesn't quite know that it is a bastard riding a dragon that is bigger than his. So why is he so mad?
Maybe it could tie into how Rhaenyra's been disregarding him a little bit. And she's putting herself in danger, which he isn't allowed to do, and has now gone to meet with the rider of Seasmoke, who they haven't known whether was going to be loyal or pose a threat. I'm not sure if that's what it comes down to here. I'm sure he would have gone with her if she asked.
I think so too. And to be fair, every new dragon they add is a dragon that is bigger than his.
Yeah, that is true. The rest of the council also seem to be quite unhappy with this development.
Again, with this idea that he stole a dragon. What does he say? That lowborn cannot go around seizing dragons? Like, dude, have we not dispelled this myth by now? You cannot steal a dragon. Either you keep your dragons in check, or people can claim them if they dare.
They are very much been married to this idea that the dragons belong to them and them alone. And I suppose it does cause a lot of concern if suddenly they have to defend these nukes from the general public. If the general public realize that, hey, we could maybe get one of them nukes. It would be cute. Maybe we could ride it through the sky. That sounds really fun. Actually, I saw one fly over there. It didn't have a rider on it. Let's give it a try.
I mean, I think that's right. It's just right. It's really funny and kind of satisfying to see them have their only claim to fame taken away from them in a way, because they have staked their entire identity on the dragon. And whoopsie, they are not as special as they thought. And just the collective annoyance as it is announced that Rhaenyra is not going to be attending the small council.
And especially funny because the council has been dismissing Rhaenyra left, right, and center, and now she's just bailing, saying, I don't even care to be here and to inform you. I'm just going to send my maester to give you the deets, read the email, and let's take the weekend. I'm going to go and see my new lesbian lover.
She very much took this could have been an email and just made it an email. I love that she is just deciding that Mysaria is so much better company because she's not so difficult to deal with. She's not as critical. She's more helpful. She's just, done with the others. And Mysaria has a way of still asking critical questions without completely dismissing Rhaenyra or making Rhaenyra want to just slap her in the face. Because she is kind of a little bit, do you trust this dude? Are you sure? this is the way to do it, you know? She is still asking these questions.
Yeah, she's not just licking her feet.
No, which is kind of cool. She is a much more useful advisor. And she's so hot, so, you know, everything sounds just a little bit better coming out of her mouth.
Oh, yeah.
It seems like there are two main concerns here, and that is, first of all, Rhaenyra obsessing over how thin or thick does the Targaryen blood need to be for someone to ride a dragon. And the other, which Miss Arya seems to be more concerned with, is, are these new dragon riders, whether they are low or highborn, going to be faithful and trustworthy?
Which is a very important concern when you're gonna give out your biggest dragons to some randos.
Much more important than what is the blood percentage making this possible, really.
I feel like they neglected to have the sort of interviewing sequence with these dragon seeds in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, maybe you don't want all of these potentials to ride the dragon. Maybe some of these would have been better scrapped, even if they could potentially claim the dragon. Maybe it's better they don't.
Because the only requirement is, do you have a Targaryen who hump their way into your family tree?
You could have very easily have had a Ramsay Bolton in there. You don't want him on Vermithor.
No. Imagine how many are descended from Maegor the Cruel. Not that it necessarily means they are also cruel, but, you know, you have absolutely no idea who these people are, and you're just playing to shoot the fish in the barrel and see who survives.
It's like a carnival game.
I must say, I've never been to any carnival quite as deadly as we saw in this episode. But Miss Arya is far from the only one and far from the one with the most concerns when it comes to doing this, because we have this incredibly interesting chat between mother and son, Jace and Rhaenyra, or Rhaenyra and Jace is more correct. All of the strength is coming out in this scene.
I really feel for him in this scene, though, even if he's being harsh, of course, with his wordage.
He is harsh, but it's not unfounded, and it's nothing so bad as what Rhaenyra has done to him.
True.
In a way. I think it's quite telling that this story has shown, obviously, Rhaenyra and Alicent as parallels, and Alicent has definitely had all of her failings as a mother put on show. Rhaenyra has gotten quite a few lovely moments with her children where she is loving and supportive, but yet she has made this one really, really difficult choice for her children that they have to live with. And when she is gone, the likelihood of Jace needing to deal with the consequences of it will truly become clear. She is, in a way, repeating Viserys' mistake in that regard, because she is leaving
a mess.
Chaos that she won't have to deal with. He very much has a right to be pissed off, I think.
I very much agree. And I think it was one of my biggest issues with Rhaenyra in the first season, is how she's choosing to voluntarily birth that many children into the world who have such an uncertain position. Like, they're born to a dangerous life, to be questioned relentlessly for their heritage, and she's done it knowingly. And as Alicent points out, 1 is a mistake.
3 is an insult. Hey, that's the name of this channel. Even if Rhaenyra were to ascend the throne unchallenged, if she had no brothers, if there were absolutely no issue, still by the time she is old and Jace is supposed to take over, if Rhaenyra had more children that were legitimate, like the one she had with Daemon, even if the brothers are not going to challenge each other, their sons might. Other people might see that they don't like Jace, or they might want to push for someone else. Not being completely 100% legitimate is so difficult. Your entire inheritance is hinging on the fact that you are of the right blood, of the right parents. which is obviously kind of silly, but those are the rules. And it's just such an unfair and horrible situation for him to be put in. Because he has a very valid point, I think, about the fact that he will be made a little bit more obsolete and a lot less special when she is lifting up other bastards.
Who have bigger dragons?
Bigger dragons and much lighter hair. His claim is already likely to be challenged, and she is kind of adding fuel to that flame.
But what should she have done instead?
Not have bastards.
Well, that's a bit late, but like at this point, Jace is begging her not to do this. But like she says, what else can she do? Fly against Vhagar herself or with...
No.
She could step down, I suppose. I don't know if I see much of another path for her.
No, it's very difficult. And I think that is what makes this scene so good, because they're both right. And wrong.
Maybe she could have had those interviews that we talked about earlier.
Interviews with the dragons?
No, with the bastards, the potential dragon riders, to sort of try to get a feel for who could be loyal, whose love could they buy.
She probably didn't want to waste time on interviewing so many people who were going to die.
No, her precious time, of course, is very important.
Mm-hmm. And because she is in such a desperate situation, she just has to take whatever manages to survive a dragon, really.
Some of you may die.
But it's very risky. And even if Jace were legitimate or looked completely legit, giving out dragons is a dangerous thing to do, to kind of divvy up your own power that way. But especially as he mentions, and he is so aware of, the dragon is the thing that gives him legitimacy, and she is just giving that legitimacy away, essentially.
But it has already been given away, hasn't it? When Seasmoke claimed a bastard with dark hair?
Because it's clear that dragons can favour illegitimate Targaryens anyways, or Velaryons in that case. Is that what you meant?
Yes. If what Jace's concern here is that the only reason Jace is seen as legitimate is because he has a dragon, so even though he has dark hair, he's legitimate because he has to be a lord because he has a dragon. But now if it becomes known that bastards can also have dragons, then that's not something that legitimizes him as a lord anymore. The fact that he claimed the dragon.
Exactly. So maybe that is why he is so angry, but by doing this again and again, it's only really diminishing their own power, obviously, because they are relying on other people. But if he were legitimate, like, it's not like these bastards are reducing the legitimacy of Aegon or Aemond or Rhaena, because they are so clearly Targaryen, whereas Jace looks like somebody else. That has nothing to do with what a dragon thinks of you, but everything to do with what lords are going to think and want to do.
And Seasmoke is just one dragon. Giving out two more? I mean, one dragon choosing a bastard is a mistake. 3?
It's an insult.
Yeah, there it is.
It just keeps repeating itself.
No wonder Jace is mad.
He's also very suspicious of Mysaria, and he rightfully deduces that she is the one to champion the bastards. So
yeah, I think maybe he's also a bit jealous, and maybe he would have liked to have been in Mysaria's position a little bit.
Yeah, I think you might be right.
With the trust and the be included.
And that Rhaenyra actually listens to Mysaria.
Yeah.
He might also be a little bit annoyed that his mother is a huge horn dog. Sorry, I don't know if we can include that.
He's already slut-shamed her once in this scene. We don't need to add to it.
Once more, and then it will be an insult. I've also noticed throughout this entire episode that there are a lot of references to the gods. Like, it's a sign from the gods that Adam was chosen by Seasmoke, and may the gods bless you or whatever. It's quite strange how Rhaenyra seems to have turned around, and also Alicent has gotten so much flack for being religious, and here Rhaenyra is just saying, well, people die and we just have to, I can't ignore a sign from the gods.
I find that very baffling as well. People are very mad at the Greens for being so religious and putting up their religious symbols when it's like they talk about the gods all the time, about how important it is.
And especially in this episode, very much sort of putting their faith in them in a way that the first episode of season 1, Rhaenyra said that people thought Targaryens were close to gods or whatever, but she said they only say that because of our dragons, and she seems to have completely turned around, and now she's very much believing the hype.
Well, you know, back then she was young, and now she's come around
to being not young. But Rhaenyra is more swayed by Mysaria. Jace does not persuade her to not go ahead with this idea. And, I mean, you are right, what else would you do? So we see that Rhaenyra's handmaiden is sent presumably on the encouragement of Mysaria. She is sent into the city to collect all of the Targaryen bastards.
She's being very obvious in her red robes.
It's almost to the point of being ridiculous. No subtlety there.
It's really fun to see all these white-haired people in the background, though, of all these shots. Makes you think, could any of them maybe claim a dragoon? Of course, certain characters have gotten more attention than others.
It wasn't that difficult to guess, I suppose, who were going to be chosen. I do think this is a nice scene to have included. It's not like they're spelling out for you what they're doing, but you still see what they're doing. I think it's moving the story along nicely.
I really love the two friends that Ulf has here at the table. The chemistry between those actors. I just get the sense that they were having so much fun on set and they were really squeezing out their best juice for this scene, because they are likely not going to be in too many scenes in this show, but I really feel like they were working to leave their biggest mark on this series.
It's a very funny scene. I like it so much. And I think we have all met people like this who have the wildest stories and they're just so special and unique, and can you even believe they are related to royalty? And then you get down to it, if it comes to a point where they need to actually prove it, they suddenly back down. It wasn't quite as true as they led everyone to believe. I think it's realistic and funny and a little bit of a lighter moment in this show that I think we need. And I do think it's a fun contrast to see how Ulf's friends are pushing him and that's why he's even going. Whereas when we see Hugh Hammer, he has this want for himself. It's not a sense of duty or anyone like external pressures pushing him to it. It's for himself. I think they're both suffering post loss of their child. Very, very difficult.
From what he's saying about his mother means that he is Daemon and Viserys' cousin?
I think so, yes, because it is very much implied that he is the son of Sarah Targaryen, which is the daughter of Jaehaerys Targaryen. Jaehaerys had famously many children and none of them truly worked out. Sarah is rumoured to have been working at a pleasure house. There was a huge scandal with Sarah Targaryen, and it had to do with 3 boys and her declaring some marriage, and it was all a bit of a clustercluck. And it led to Jaehaerys kind of disowning her and saying that she was no longer his daughter. So very, very dramatic. She was sent to Old Town and she was supposed to become a septa, I think. But, she wanted a different life. And Hugh seems to have known his mother enough that she told him about, as you said, probably his cousins?
It would be, wouldn't it?
I think so. And there aren't that many of Jaehaerys' children who worked in a brothel, so I think it must be Sarah.
I think it could also make sense if Sarah was a bit rebellious and boisterous, because he also seems to have inherited some of those headstrong qualities, which would suit Vermithor, I suppose.
I was quite surprised by how many of these bastards were up for the challenge of taking on a dragon. But it's very clear that not everyone thinks this is a good idea, because all of the dragon tamers decide to go on strike this day.
They're having none of it. And they seemed quite essential when they tried to put that knight on Seasmoke.
They seem more traumatized by Lord Darklyn being burned alive than Rhaenyra does.
And these people obviously know the dragons more than most. And maybe they have an inkling of who would be suitable for what dragon and not in general. Presumably they've been present with Rhaena when she's been trying to claim a dragon. She's obviously survived several claiming attempts.
And they seem to have this notion that the judgment has been delivered, or whatever they say. They think that this matter is settled. Stop trying this foolishness.
Because Rhaenyra says the gods have placed them here. And then they say that she's the one who put them here.
Again, with the reference to the gods.
She's savage.
Very funny.
I love that we get to see some of their passion for the dragons, though. Because the dragon tamers, we don't really have any characters. We don't really even have a named character who's a dragon tamer. They just sort of exist in those few scenes with the dragons to sort of steer them a little. They're kind of mysterious, but clearly very knowledgeable and powerful in their own right. And to actually get to see some personality to them.
I enjoy that too. And you see this difference in how they look at these dragons as magic and something really special. Whereas so many of the other players in this show see the dragons now as weapons of war, because that is what they are going to use them as. And just this difference in how they view them, I think is nice that we see as well.
Kind of makes me team dragon tamer a little bit.
I just become more and more team everyone else that is not highborn. But they walk out, and Rhaenyra is just fully okay with trying anyways.
Yeah. She doesn't need no dragon tamers. She knows the lullaby herself. She can them.
And she has enough of these bastards to give it a real go.
It's really too many of them to get to know anyway, so let's just give them a little bit of a motivational speech and see who's got the strongest nose.
Lots of white wigs on set this day. Even Rhaenyra's pep talk to these potential new dragon riders include a call to the gods.
A lot of god talk this episode, Rhaenyra.
Even in the last episode, she kept going on about perhaps the gods will favor us.
She loves the gods.
You're right, there's a lot of god talk. What do we think about this speech? It's very... Maybe she doesn't even know what she's doing, because I don't get the feeling that she is giving a sense of just how dangerous this is. A lot of these people are going to die within the next few minutes, and they have absolutely no clue. Obviously, she continues her little speech when we do get to Vermithor, just telling them, you will be transformed. I mean, most of them will be transformed into ash.
Yeah, she's speaking it up as this thing that, oh, this will save the realm and all your kin. So you will be transformed and we can end this war peacefully without bloodshed. And yeah, not making it quite clear the danger of what is about to befall them.
Nope.
She has the gods bless them though, so I suppose that's nice, but I feel like maybe they could have had a little bit more information. Especially given that the dragon tamers are not going to help them out, so hopefully she would have put some thought into how to do this in the best way.
There's no, let's see if we're going to do this another day because we're a little bit stuck today. No. We're going to go see the dragon right now. I'm in a hurry.
And you're all going to approach it as once. What could go wrong? Just tossing shit at the wall and sees what sticks.
It's a bit rude to call them shit, but you're not technically wrong.
Tossing mongrels at the wall and see which one sticks.
So much better. Wonderful.
Up Vermithor!
I saw a theory that some people thought Rhaenyra was going to discard Cyrax and claim Vermithor instead. I'm happy we finally have an episode to disprove that.
Well, I kind of almost thought that as well for a second watching this episode, because she's like petting him and nuzzling him and giving him like 17 kisses.
17 kisses.
Why would he allow that? If he's like, ooh, the most fierce dragon. Come give me a kiss, Vermithor. I mean, this looks like a bond forming to me. I don't know what to tell you. They're basically making out. Get a room.
Ew. She makes the dragon look so calm and docile compared to what he truly is.
I do think it's very strange how she can just approach the dragon, tell him to calm down and to obey her, and then he just comes down for pets and cuddles. Like,
I agree, and I thought about this as well. I'm wondering if it has anything to do with the fact that she has already claimed a dragon and Vermithor knows, like, if the dragons can tell. So they're not so into kind of killing another dragon's rider. I'm not entirely sure, because I was thinking about this as well.
when they were trying to put that Kingsguard on Seasmoke, you had all the dragon tamers out with their little sticks, and Rhaenyra was standing in the way back. If it's this easy to get a dragon to just chill out as long as you have a dragon yourself, why would they risk those dragon tamers? If Rhaenyra could have just gone over and said, "Hey, come here, boy. Come here, Seasmoke."
But as we can tell, he is not calm as soon as the other people approach anyways. So maybe Seasmoke wouldn't have been either. Like, it's just, I don't know.
Something just feels off to me because they call him maybe the fiercest dragon alive. And then anyone could sing him a little lullaby or call on him and pet him, even if you're not his rider.
I agree, but I just like the scene so much. And I think it works with how the last episode ended with Adam being claimed by Seasmoke. Because you're almost lulled into this false sense of security, like it's not going to be that tough to claim a dragon. We do know that they sometimes burn you, but look at this one. It's so cute and like a puppy, and maybe he's just going to crawl over and choose one of them.
Yeah. It's a good scene. It's true. Even if in my brain it just doesn't add up entirely.
I get that.
Then it is very cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the most difficult part for me is when she's just, okay, I showed you that you can pet this dragon. I'm out of here. You deal with this now. It's up to you now.
She doesn't even tell them the words to use or what they mean. She just shows them, these are the 2 words. This is what the dragon's called. Clack.
These people have no knowledge of dragons. It's so wild.
I don't think this is what the dragon tamers would have done. It just feels so stupid to me as well to just put them all in there. Like, why not send them 1 and 1? Maybe the dragon will just fly off if it rejects one person, so they have to have them all there. Because this is the one shot? I don't...
It very much feels like whoever has decided how they are going to arrange this little meet cute with the biggest dragon they can get their hands on, see all these people as rather disposable, I think. Like, they're just throwing everything into the cave and seeing if anything comes out.
It just feels very cold-hearted.
I agree.
To not put any sort of safety precautions in place for these people, these human beings.
No, I completely agree.
Yeah. I didn't catch it when I watched it for the first time, but as Vermithor starts breathing fire and attacking these people, you see so many of them turn around and try to leave, and the guards are actively stopping them.
They won't let them.
No, they formed a line specifically to stop them from escaping this dragon's wrath. They are not allowed to change their minds about trying to confront him. They're not allowed to retreat to try again. It's just, nope, you will claim this dragon or he will eat you.
Yeah, it's a very, very savage scene. Just so horrifying to watch. As we talked about last episode, there is no kiddie pool here either, no buckets of water. There isn't really made a huge attempt to try to make people survive if they're not successful in claiming this dragon. There is no improvements made in that regard.
If anything, it's worse because you add so many people and you don't let them leave.
Yes, that would be considered worse. Vermithor is having a grand old time, though.
This is the most fun he's had since Jaehaerys died. She doesn't actually look that faced for someone who's just watched dozens of family members get eaten and burned by a dragon. Granted, she didn't know any of them, but she knows who they are, somewhat.
But please, they're just small folk. Their wants are of no consequence.
The realm's delight. Hella worth it.
It's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. Of course, after an absolutely insane carnage, that really reminds me of kind of a war scene. Vermithor is finally allowing Hugh to claim him.
After a display of bravery.
Yes, and Hugh almost seems like he's ready to die, which I think really makes sense when you think about the history of the character. Like, he just lost his child, he had kind of went against his wife's only wish. It's his last hope, in a way.
Yeah, and at least if he's screaming at a dragon that he's ready, at least he gets to keep some of his dignity as he's accepting his fate.
Either you survive and you're really badass, or you go out in a really, really cool way. So
it definitely impressed Vermithor. I do think there's something really sweet about that girl that Hugh is saving from Vermithor, especially given how his daughter has recently died. And it tugs at my heart thinking that this girl maybe reminded him of his own daughter, and there was no way he was gonna let her die if he had anything he could do about it.
And as we spoke about Hugh very, very possibly being Sarah Targaryen's son. Sarah was obviously the daughter of Jaehaerys Targaryen, Jaehaerys I, and Jaehaerys I rode Vermithor. This is his grandfather's dragon.
Oh, that's really nice.
It's a little neato.
I mean, he looks really strong too.
They look like a very fine pair.
A nice match, I think. I don't know, something about Vermithor is so cute. Something about his chin. So distinct. Hamster-like he's keeping some snacks in there or something.
He looks like those blowfish. Like the pufferfish.
He does.
So cute.
I really want to put my hand underneath his chin there and give him a little scratch.
This is why you would never survive.
I would definitely survive. If Ulf can do it, so can I.
And Rhaenyra is looking at both Vermithor and Hugh like it was all worth it.
She was right. This would win her war.
Is that a tear on her cheek?
Oh, she looks like she was a little moved by
Not
this.
by all the people dying, but I finally have a shot at winning this war.
Someone else managed to pet him. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
This, of course, does change the tide for her, so...
Yeah, I get it, but it also changed a lot of people's lives that day.
Well, only 2, because only 2 claimed the dragon. Did anyone else life change?
And the rest just transferred into death.
Ash in the wind.
Ulf is such a klutz. Just stumbling over those eggs.
I mean, I thought he was going to be done for. How can you get close to cracking a dragon's eggs and then not be eaten for it?
One thing I thought about during the scene where Ulf stumbles upon a dragon is that I don't know if he knew there were going to be more dragons. Rhaenyra didn't really tell them that much. She just tried to say some inspirational words that would make them forget they were likely to die. And he is just trying to run away from one dragon and stumbling into the nest of another.
Yeah, how would he know that Silverwing's chilling in there?
Because he seems very much like, oh, typical, my luck. I'm running away and here's another dragon. I'm definitely done for. He is being kind of a comedy show, stumbling and just, he's not brave or really cool, like you, where he's screaming at a dragon. He's just being knocked over by it, essentially.
I wonder if this kind of felt normal to Silverwing, though. Because they have made it a point that the Targaryens go to claim them and, like, seek them out to bond with them. So maybe Silverwing just thought, oh, smells like another Targaryen to me. He's just here to try it out. He smells alright. I guess I'll go for a flight.
She almost seems humoured by him, like we were.
Maybe she needed a little bit of humor in her life. I do love how he's just playing dead, though, as Silverwing is nudging him onto his back. It just seems like he's ready to go, and it's just giving me the vibe of kind of like a possum or something when they're playing dead and they're just lying on their back with their tongue out. And he's just awaiting his death.
And it seems like Silverwing might also have enjoyed that little theatrical display, because I don't think she thought he was dead.
I don't know if you could convince her of that, no. Even if he was dead, dragons tend to eat their prey, so it's not really necessarily the smartest move anyway. But very amusing. And Silverwing thought so too.
It's very fun to see the different personalities of both the dragons, but also the people claiming them, and seeing how they kind of match up.
Yeah, I love when we get to see the dragons' personalities shine through and they're not just all copy pasta killing machine.
Agreed.
Then obviously we get to see Ulf and Silverwing's first flight together as they're taking a turn about King's Landing. It's actually the only flight scene we get from these dragon scenes when they're claiming their dragons.
Unfortunately, yes.
I think it was a bit of a shame that we didn't get to see Adam when he was trying to fly Seasmoke to Dragonstone, because they made it a point that he didn't know any Valyrian. And so I'm just curious of how that went down, and I kind of wish we got to see it. Very fun to watch this scene with Silverwing, though. For sure.
I agree.
Because I don't think he tried to fly there intentionally.
I don't think so either. I think Silverwing just decided to go for a leap on her old stomping grounds. I think it's, a little bit lucky that they didn't actually try to shoot him with one of the scorpions, because that would have been a really tragic short flight.
It was indeed very lucky.
Yes.
For the second time today.
Our lucky klutz.
A nice addition to the very serious Targaryen family. We don't get to see a whole lot of Aemond in this episode, but even he noticed a huge-ass dragon flying in on his city as everyone started screaming.
The dragon interrupted the council meeting.
Silverwing has such style. And surely Aemond must have noticed how big she is, because she's one of the biggest dragons, isn't she?
I think so. She's a bit older than most of the other dragons in this little saga.
Yeah, I believe she's the dragon that the good Queen Alicent rode. Who was the wife of Jaehaerys, the old king. So this dragon has been alongside Vermithor for a very long time. So I suppose it makes sense that they are
Bigger,
yeah. Older, bigger.
And obviously, Aemond is itching to get to his dragon, to Vhagar, to do something about this. Can we just talk about the way he jumps onto that horse, because he doesn't even use a stirrup? That's fairly impressive.
Holy shit, that's impressive! What?
If you have ever tried to mount a horse, you get how difficult that is. That is not a pony either.
That is so smooth. Is it the actual actor who does that, or is it a stunt rider? Because wow.
I know, right?
I'm very impressed by this.
Mm-hmm.
Does not look like a stunt person. Nobody looks like that man.
Nobody has that jaw. He has the most annoying clothes to do this in, and he is just going straight into a canter with one hand. It's very, very impressive.
I totally understand why they had so many shots of him riding that horse. And Vhagar waking from her nap, as she does.
I think it's cool that she is just resting just outside, because they have mentioned that she is too large for the dragon pit.
Just love how she's blurring with the nature around her. Yeah, always. I always get a little bit surprised when nature starts moving and woo, it's Vhagar. Very stealthy for a mountain of a dragon.
It's very fun. I like it. Oh, she's so cute. My goodness. Lilla Ugla.
Oh, yeah, she's just like a little lizard.
Oh.
Well, very large lizard, I suppose.
Yeah.
I just love how her chin never ends. The never-ending chin. Untouched by time.
Well, a little bit touched by time. I think it's cool that we get a sense for just how close Dragonstone is as well. They truly are just a stone's throw away. Absolutely neighbours. And it just seems like Aemond, I don't know what he's truly thinking, but he might have an idea that he can just jump on Vhagar and deal with this new dragon and the rider right away. And I just love the realization when he sees that he can't. Because the situation has changed.
Yeah, I was wondering if he also caught sight of Vermithor over there or not.
Yeah, me too. I'm not sure.
But either way, it makes sense that he doesn't want to descend upon Dragonstone with all their dragon riders potentially there. Like, even he knows that that's too much to try for.
So maybe he tried to reach Silverwing at all before they got back to Dragonstone, but then realized he couldn't.
Yeah, if he could have taken out Silverwing right there, that would obviously have...
That would have been such a huge blow as well. I'm very happy he didn't, because it would have been really sad.
Me too.
But the drama would have been... wow.
Telling Vhagar to flee, though, that's... I didn't have it on my bingo card.
I mean, Rhaenys could have used some of that wit, and so could Luke.
I think it's very funny how Vhagar's tail is just no fuss.
Yeah.
It's just a limb that ends. There's no spikes, no horns.
She truly does look old, not just in age, but sort of old generation, whereas the newer dragons they're more fancy and prancy in colours, and as you say, spikes. She's just this really old dinosaur-looking lizard. And even though we're not done talking about the episode, the next shot is obviously the final shot of the episode. The first and the final shot, similar. I mean, Cyrax is in both, and they're so strong. It's just so cool.
Yeah, it makes me so excited for the next one.
It's got a very sort of Rhaenyra's look on her face with 3 dragons in the background. Very sort of look at what you made me do.
Oh, she's in her Taylor Swift era.
Definitely. I would have kind of liked to see that Aemond knew that he could see all of these dragons, but I don't know that he could from so far away. But it's so interesting that he, who has been riding Vhagar and having the upper hand for so long, and kind of having this security blanket because he has the biggest dragon, and now he has to kind of reevaluate, reassess, and accept that there is a new reality now.
Yup, and he doesn't even know about Seasmoke yet, does he?
No.
Because Larys specifically was like, let's not tell him about this unlikely rumor.
Larys boy, you're about to get a little bit of a beating, I think.
Who the hell is this guy, anyway?
I don't know. He's in every single small council meeting, and I don't feel like anybody knows who he is. He just seems like he's always there. So he is the Master of Laws, Jasper Wilde. Definitely a nobody.
You'd think that Larys, as the spy master, would have heard rumors about Seasmoke from other sources as well. So he's kind of doing a bit of a shit job at the moment.
I wonder if this also has something to do with the fact that Larys now kind of hates Aemond and he doesn't want him informed. He wants him gone. Because we see him have some kind of agenda with Aegon.
Yes, because he is very much pushing for his recovery, isn't it? With the Maester and stuff. Even though the Maester is like, this is too soon. Then he's just like, no, we need Aegon back. Put him on his feet.
Even saying that he won't rest for some time. It's harsh, but at the same time, he seems to be one of the few people really trying to get Aegon back on his feet and back to having some say, being a player again.
I feel like only Larys and that Maester
care
is on Aegon's
side.
Yeah.
Agreed. Because even Alicent has just fucked off. She just went camping.
What the heck is she even up to?
Gone fishing.
Or gone to swim with the fishies?
I mean, it's so strange. I just don't get the storyline at all. On the one hand, I don't hate this storyline of hers more than I hate any of the others, because it's just been very difficult to watch a lot of what she has done. So at least now she's just doing Eat, Pray, Love. That feels a little bit easier to get on board with, I suppose. But it also feels like, what are we doing here? The shots are so out of left field.
I wasn't sure if it was going to be kind of like, oh, is she suicidal? Is this like her making an attempt on her own life, saying bye-bye? Ending
I
her
thought
subscription,
so too,
as it
but
were.
then she's just, relaxing.
Having her Swan Lake moment.
Rhaena is continuing to destroy our favourite storyline by stealing Nettle's, another book character's story.
Just go to Penthos, girl, please.
She doesn't even go here.
Exactly. Just go, take a nap. The morning will be on your side.
Obviously, most of the time in this episode is dedicated to the Sowing, which is what they call really this trying to get the Dragonseeds, the Targaryen descended bastards, to claim dragons. It's just a little bit of poetry mixed in with all the blood.
And mortar.
Which is also obviously why this episode is called The Red Sowing. But the other storyline that I quite liked is the Harrenhal storyline. I have noticed that quite a few people are rather done with this, but it is moving along. And last episode we saw Alice Rivers. I mean, the tragic passing of Lord Glover, that nobody knows why he died. Because Alice, the skilled healer, tried her very best. But we are back with Daemon.
Who is very sad about the passing of the Lord Paramount.
And at Harrenhal, Daemon is very much thinking that he has a new young lord he can just wrap around his little finger. And boy, is he wrong. Oscar Tully is, let's just say it as is, he has balls of steel and he is a very clever little politician already. Oh, I hope he lives.
I admire his ability to stand tall in front of this monstrous man who's mocked him and basically thrown his own strength in his face. It's such savagery. He's also responsible for all the nasty business who's happened in his territory.
But I think the strength behind it is that he knows that Daemon needs him. He will cause himself a huge headache if he just offs him. He has been waiting to be able to use him. Do you know what I mean? Because it's been quite a few episodes since we saw them meet for the first time. And he managed to take stock of Daemon at that point.
They also made a point out of talking about how Lord Grover is the one who raised this boy. And so it makes sense that he has learned a lot of politics.
Yeah, how to manipulate the situation to his own advantage, which he does masterfully in this scene.
Not many is able to outwit Daemon in situations like this.
It's so beautifully done. It's really satisfying to watch the way he lets Daemon sort of still take a little bit of command and then just completely turn on him.
Yeah, and also show to the people who follow Daemon that Daemon will not stand up for them if they are in his way, kind of. Like, this lord has done what Daemon wanted, and yet now that he's standing here facing consequences, Daemon is not taking his side. He's not standing up for him.
I was kind of surprised at how long it took Daemon to realize he was going to have to kill his own supporter. Because it seems like he only realized just before he did it. He did not see where Oscar was going, which made it very, very satisfying when you see that Daemon is finally catching on.
I wondered what the ringing could signify, because it reminds me of the sounds that he hears in his visions.
Ah. And we do move straight into a vision after. It seems like the Daemon we see in this episode has a bigger issue. I mean, he still does it without hesitating at all. But he might feel like just the tiniest little twinge of guilt as he's executing someone who did exactly what he asked of them.
I did actually think that was kind of weird. That Lord Tully is saying specifically, you did what you wanted to. And that's true, that Daemon very much made it clear, do your worst, be as awful as you can be. And he did exactly what Daemon wanted and what was asked of him, without Daemon specifically ordering each of these evil tasks, even though he supported them.
Mm-hmm.
But how does Lord Tully know this? Has Daemon told him that?
I don't think so. I think that is just a play, because there are so many of the other lords here that are disgusted and dissatisfied with what the Blackwoods have done. And in a way, for Oscar to get support for himself, he knows that he needs to measure out a bit of justice. And by saying that you did what you wanted to, he is kind of giving Daemon leave to execute him. He is ridding himself of this problem without showing that this man, although he is awful, is executed for following an order, essentially. So I think it has more to do with how he is trying to portray himself and the situation to the rest of the lords, because they seem so upset about this that executing him is the best way to get the other lords to really support him. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense. I think it probably just felt a little... maybe a little on the nose, because we know that was exactly what happened, that Daemon didn't tell him specifically what to do, and that, yeah, I don't know.
I think it's also a way to have the Riverland lords not even follow, but accept that Daemon is a part of the package deal, because it makes Daemon seem less awful if he is apologetic, quote unquote, for ordering Blackwoods to kind of take over the Brackens. But then if they make it seem like Daemon isn't behind the absolute war crimes that were committed, it's easier to kind of swallow Daemon as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
I just love the way that Daemon is too slow for a little child. Okay, he's not a little child, but this young boy who has pretended to be so meek and, oh my goodness, are you suggesting I kill my grandfather? And he is kind of, looking away and acting a bit shy, and I'm saying what I have to, but I'm still afraid of you. And then he's walking outside, really, walking out, and he's just standing in the middle of everything, and he is so steadfast, and Daemon isn't really following. He's just too slow every step of the way. He has to kind of tell him to play along and listen to me. Do you not get this, old man? We need to play charades to get where we both want. It's very satisfying to watch. I really, really like this scene. I hope we see more of Oscar Tully. What a fun character.
I'm surprised at how much we get to see Viserys in this season.
It's a good surprise.
Yeah, for sure. He's kind of back to looking his worst. But at least he has the crown. Do you think Daemon still wants the throne? Maybe he's being convinced that it's not all... it's...
worth it.
Hmm.
And even with as hard as Daemon has worked to be called king, he still had a little boy call him prince just now. Is it really worth it? But also, so many people need to have this talk from Viserys. Is it really worth it? Although he's not one to talk. He's a big reason why they're in this mess to begin with.
That's true. We have a whole video on that. I wonder if we'll get a moment where Daemon is actually presented the option whether he will try to go for the throne or not.
Yeah, me too.
Because this could be some sort of foreshadowing to that, I suppose. They are very much making it a point that Rhaenyra doesn't know if Daemon is trying to take the throne for himself, and Daemon's behavior is very much giving us reason to believe that he might indeed do that.
I mean, even in this episode, she presented herself and Syrax earlier as the only viable option, or as the only balance to Vhagar, which means she is not really counting on Daemon and Caraxes that much anymore.
She did say, I think that was last episode as well, that she had to move forward as if she stands alone. So
yeah.
that would be interesting to say.
Pretty packed episode. But we could probably have done without the Alicent camping scenes and just had Alice instead. But overall, I did really enjoy the pacing of this episode. I thought it was really... like, it worked well, it flowed well.
Very enjoyable episode. Very fun. Stuff happened.
Mm-hmm.
The budget was budgeting. Do you want to choose the highlight first this time? Gotta pick out the litter.
I think maybe Hugh claiming Vermithor.
Very impactful scene. Delicious. Juicy.
Intense. I think it's just fun to see all the different dragon claiming scenes. Like, they don't get old because they're not all the same. They're so different. Just having him scream at a huge dragon, I thought that was fun.
Yeah, it also speaks to how different the dragons are, and again with their personalities, how it really is a bond. It's not just connecting to Bluetooth, you know, it's you actually need to have a bonding moment with them.
Do you think if we had dragons today, they would come with Bluetooth?
I mean, they're pretty old, so maybe they'd still be on infrared.
Don't you think we could give them a bit of an update?
Yeah, maybe the younger ones, like the hatchlings.
Yeah.
We could install it. Update the drivers.
Genetically modify the eggs. It would be great.
Yeah, Jurassic Park style.
Yeah. I don't think the lesson we're meant to take away from this show is that dragons would be a good idea, but...
It would be the best idea. What do you mean?
What is...
Oh my god.
What is your highlight from this episode?
Oh my god, I want to fly on a dragon though.
Yeah?
I mean, it's hard not to choose something from the actual dragon claiming moments, isn't it? Like, you grab Vermithor, I could grab Silverwing.
That flight scene was very cute. I did like that.
Yeah, and also when Silverwing is like nudging him
Very
along
funny.
the ground. It was very funny. It was cute. But there were a lot of strong moments in this episode. Obviously, the last shot that we're looking at now, the very beginning shot with Seasmoke and Adam. Yeah, Rhaenyra and Jace's little conversation. Very cool. But yeah, highlight definitely gotta be the dragons for me this episode. Bow Shao. And Lowlights, Alicent.
It's so weird.
Having a midlife crisis.
Oh, it is strange.
We've talked about that before with Alicent, that it really feels like they don't know what to do with her character, but they still feel like she has to be important, and so they're just putting all this gibberish nonsense onto her, like, oh, she's an important character from the first season. She was, you know, big name, big face. Well, big face, that's kind of mean to say, but like, she's, you know, it's a very important character from that part of the story, but now she doesn't really have anything to do anymore, and she hasn't got much impact, not much to say. And so they literally just have her walk around the forest and go for a swim. Like, I'm sorry, but it's a
different show.
Could we just get some Helena and Dreamfire instead, please?
I think so too. There are other characters who could fill this slot, I think. Even though the shots are beautiful. I do think that if there is one episode where I don't necessarily need Helena and Dreamfire, it would be this episode, because there is so much else going on. I feel like it would be a little bit overshadowed by all the dragon claiming scenes. So,
don't you mean that Dreamfire would overshadow all the dragon claiming scenes?
Okay, sure. Do you have a rating for the episode?
I mean, you know, like my inherent rating, but I really like this episode. So I don't know. I guess I'll have to give it a 9 out of 10.
Ah, very good.
I mean, like, I don't know what else. Like, Alicent, not great, but and that like Rhaenyra having such an easy time just wrapping Vermithor around her finger.
Mm-hmm.
It was a little weird, but it was cool. But those, yeah. But I like this episode very much. I enjoyed it.
Me too.
I think they did a
Me
great
too.
job. It was thrilling to watch.
Very easy to watch as well, I think. For the most part, apart from all the death.
Yeah, very happy with it. I think they managed to make it clear just how impactful that moment in the story is, with how many people died
Agreed.
trying to claim a dragon, without them needing to do the same sequence with all 3 dragons. Like, they managed to make each one unique and still get across how dangerous, how awful this event was. So yeah, great job on this episode.
I think so too.
So, do you want to also rate it?
I was going to say like an 8.5 maybe, so we were pretty close.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, I do think it was really, really...
Now you make me seem like a sucker who's like
Well,
overshooting.
I would seem like a sucker if I chose the same rating as you, just to make you not look like a sucker. Do you see we could do this until the end of time?
Wow, so you think it's more important that you don't look like a
I think it's
sucker
important
than
that I say what I
don't look like a
thought.
sucker.
Wow. Okay, I think it's about time we end this video because we are about to have a brawl. From start to end, I really enjoyed this episode. Very, very good, I thought. The opening shot is almost as strong as the ending shot, I think. I love the look on Rhaenyra's face here. I love all the 3 dragons. They're roaring. Just going by the look on Rhaenyra's face, she seems to be very much in her reputation era. She made some strong decisions that upset quite a lot of people, made some people happy, and killed a whole bunch of people.
Some of you may die, but it's a sacrifice I am willing to make.
Oh, look what you made me do. Look what you made me do.